It's Damon, and yes, I'm here in the countryside. No, for real, there's actually a place in Paris called La Campagne de Paris. It's a few residential streets in the 20th arrondissement. I'm here because my ex was feeling a little bit sick, and I have all these witch potions from the United States of America. That's probably illegal over here. You know how some ingredients are approved in certain countries and other ones it's not? That's probably the case here. In any case, y'all clicked on a book video, and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna go over to his place and read some stuffs. I've had so many books that I wanted to tell you about. It's like almost too overwhelming. We're gonna get to that. Let's go. You know, I don't know why I ask you guys on my Instagram, you know, which video you'd like to see for the week, because it always ends up happening where y'all vote, I do the video, and then I feel bad that people voted for another video and didn't get it. And so, you can hear that, right? Long story short, I don't know why I do the polls, because I haven't once not done a video that I put in the poll. Yeah. This is the elevator music. Home sweet home. C'est une tous?
Non.
Une tout?
C'est un rube.
Okay, the original idea was that you weren't gonna be here because I know how you feel about these books, and I didn't want no stank-ass attitude like blocking our auras over here. You're sick because why? Because you smoked a doobie and then you got in the canal walk. Okay, for real though, what is it about self-help philosophy books that you don't like?
Que j'ai l'habitude de trouver cheesy un peu comme tu dis.
Me too.
En disant, en fait, peut-être que ce que je vais lire, ça va résonner en moi par rapport à des choses que j'ai vécues. Mais à ce moment-là, c'est un peu comme un horoscope, quoi. Enfin, genre, tout
Je crois que tu as raison parce que la moitié ils sont trop clichés, trop wow, sérieux, chase your dreams. Et l'autre côté c'est très académique. Académique.
Des fois.
Wow, reducing all these books to bullet points. Well, that's what I'm gonna try to do in this video.
Bah voilà.
Let's get started.
Pas besoin de se faire chier à tout lire, tu regardes la vidéo.
It's for personal development. You know what? It's always people like you that need these books. Here, you want to take a... I have a history of giving books out.
T'as l'air très développé dans ta façon de gérer les conflits aussi.
Me?
Là, apparemment.
Maybe you should write a book like this.
Oula, bah ça serait des bullet points, hein, je te dis.
Oh my god, insupportable.
You asked me to be.
I did. No, I didn't. I said be yourself, and you said I could be mean, and I said yes.
So like, I'll be myself, so stop bitching about it.
All of the links to these books will be in the description box below, so if you do want one of them, you can definitely click that link. I get some sort of kickback. It's like 2 cents. But you'll see all those links in the description box below. Love is Letting Go of Fear. I got this back in Miami. I needed a book to read on the beach. I saw this title and this freaking cover art, and I was like, there's no way I'm gonna get into this book. Then you open the book, and you guys, you have little drawings like this. I'm like, there's no way this book is gonna be good. Here are the chapter titles. All that I give is given to myself. I can't do this with you here. Because I know that these sound cheesy, and it's like, I'm getting insecure.
Reading about Vietnamese food and pho soup and shit.
I see all, okay, first example, I see all things as I would have them be. You're seeing exactly what you want in each scenario. You're looking at these books, and you're not even trying to see. You're not even trying. You already kind of have your mind made up.
No, not completely.
We are what we believe. Our belief system is based on our past experience, which is constantly being relived in the present with an anticipation of the future being just like the past. Our present perceptions are so colored by the past that we are unable to see the immediate happenings in our lives without distortion and limitations.
C'est ça qui m'emmerde un petit peu en fait dans ce genre de bouquin, c'est qu'ils disent ce genre de phrases, tu vois, qui sont vraiment genre nous sommes faits de telle façon, nous regardons dans le passé.
Tu trouves pas que ça c'est vrai ça?
C'est peut-être vrai, mais en fait c'est le style. Là ça, on dirait presque des
church,
ouais voilà, j'ai l'impression qu'on est en train de genre brainwasher une vérité, peut-être qu'elle est vraie et tout, mais je préférerais, je pense, lire un autre type de source qui me donne aussi ces expériences quoi.
Et c'est pour ça que tu passes ton temps en lisant 9gag, right?
Oui.
Exactement, c'est ta source ça.
N'importe quoi.
And so you're putting this weird hazy aura around my positivity.
Literally laying on the couch.
I know, in your home. Also, let's not forget.
Being sick.
Let's not forget I am in your home.
It's not really mine.
This is a book called Love is Letting Go of Fear. And it basically explains how there are two ways to live your life. Most people in the world they're making choices out of fear, and the people who have like the best lives out there, who feel good, who are most successful, are operating from a place of power or love. Every decision they make, it's because they made it themselves and not because they feel trapped in their lives. Oftentimes people operate from places of fear, aka anxiety, jealousy, attachment, anger, and so they're not really honoring their best self. That's like the main point of this book. Lesson 3, I am never upset for the reason I think. Damn, right? I'm never upset for the reason I think. I am tempted to believe that I am upset because of what other people do or because of circumstances and events that seem beyond my control. I may experience being upset as some form of anger, jealousy, resentment, or depression. Actually, all these feelings represent some form of fear that I am experiencing. I recognize today that my attack thoughts about others are really directed against myself. Damn, this book is so good. Oh my God. You need this one. Lesson 6, I am not the victim of the world I see. We were both just this person. You know this? You were this person too, and I was this person. We were both arguing about this place because you're like, are you gonna come or not and film your video? And I'm like, well, I don't want to film the video if you're gonna be sitting right next to me like you are. We both, because most of us perceive many aspects of our surroundings as insane, we are tempted to feel helplessly caught in a trap, like we're the victim of our circumstances and of the world around us. That's called operating from a place of fear, not power, not love. What I see is a reflection of what I have seen within my mind. I always project onto the world the thoughts, feelings, and attitudes that preoccupy me. I can see the world differently by changing my mind about what I see. So you know what? I'm gonna take control of the situation. I'm gonna operate from a place of power. I am not a victim of the situation of my ex sitting right here judging me. Or maybe you're not even judging me. Maybe I'm projecting that because I think that you have judged me based on these kind of books, and I'm projecting this energy outward that then makes you react to me when maybe that's not even what you're thinking. See how that worked? Damn, that was good.
I'm honestly way too sick to react to that.
Let's go to the next book. Eckhart Tolle is my spiritual guru, if I ever have one. Yo, I've read everything. I have read everything that this man has written. He's mostly known for his other book called The Power of Now. Awesome book as well, but I like this one. This was the one that like truly like awakened me. It's a pretty dense read, I will admit. Like there were times when I had to skip out on paragraphs because I was like, I ain't gonna get through this. Definitely more of the intellectual one. Maybe it's not like the first one you should start out with. Maybe start out with like one of these like, you know, like kind of ones. We are the thinker, not the thoughts. Like right now, you're probably like, what the fuck is he talking about? All right, now recognize that you have that thought. Now you are not the thought. You're the one thinking that thought. So there's almost like in our brains, we have two people talking to us. And it's the person who's talking all damn day. And then it's the person behind that person. And so often people don't realize that there's actually the person behind the thought. And I think that's why most people live their lives out of reactivity, which causes a lot of aggression in the world, or just like dumb decisions, frankly. I would say all these books are pretty like mind-fucky, but this is the one that like goes deeper into your psyche and your consciousness, which is why like it's a dense one, but it's still like my top 1 or 2, frankly. I've been telling everyone this is my favorite book, and then I saw this one and I was like, maybe this is my favorite. There was a part in this book that referred to the pronoun I and how we throw it around all the time, but we don't really realize that I am not I. I is just a word to be a reference point to my being. Same with my name Damon. Like I'm not Damon. Like my name is Damon, but like me as a person is not Damon. It's just a way to make everybody, my name could be Billy Bob Joe. Like it might as well be with this. We are the person before the pronoun. This was the book that, like Oprah Winfrey says on the back, was a wake-up call for the entire planet. Truly a wake-up call. This is the one that makes you realize that so many of the systems put in place are just for us to live our lives easier, but this whole concept of I or using names, they don't really exist. This is the book that like deconstructs every reality you've ever been taught. The main idea of this whole book is the breakdown of the self and the ego. The ego is like the part of your life that's just trying to like hold you back and like do everything to make sure that you don't get to the next level, so that you don't evolve, so that you don't like thrive in this world and do everything you actually care to do. Now, most people go their entire lives without even realizing that there is something in themselves that is even holding them back, aka the ego. It's like a parent who is like,
no, you're fine here. Like, you don't need to go anywhere else. Like, no, you don't need to. Like, why do you want to dress like that? Like, that's a little crazy or crazy enough. Like, oh, you can be anything you want to be, but like, don't strive too hard to be a big star or like a big lawyer. Like, you're just a normal person. Like,
that's the ego. And your job on Earth, that's from this book, is to overcome that ego, and a lot of times people don't, because they don't even realize that there is such a thing as the ego. Until they read this book. You can get this one down below as well. It's called A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. Swear, this is the book I recommend to everybody. The next book I don't have because I don't think that it's one that I need anymore. It's one of those that I gave away, but it's been on my list forever. It's called The Art of Non-Conformity by Chris, wow, why did that French accent? Chris Guillebeau. This is also one that I read back in New York City when I was like, I want to do YouTube. And everyone was kind of like, but why? You're in the honors college. Like, don't you want to do something realistic? And I was like, it's only unrealistic till it's realistic, and it's never gonna be realistic until there's somebody who's their own biggest cheerleader first, which is yourself. This was the book that made me realize, like, look, we're not all here to always do the same thing. There's a reason there's innovation and creativity in the world, and it's because people are willing to break the rules and step outside of what everyone has told them to do. Have you realized, like, everyone's telling you what to do to just kind of stay on track? There was a quote at my old agency that was on the wall, and it said, if Henry Ford, the inventor of like Ford automobiles, if Henry Ford asked the people what they wanted to see, they would have said bigger and better horses. And he was like, oh, that's what y'all want? Like, no, I'm gonna give you a car. And so that's the kind of thinking that we need, and this is what this book's all about, to kind of break your mold and be like, well, why not? Why shouldn't I go after this? Why shouldn't I do it this way? Like, who said that this was wrong to do it this way? I remember there was this one example about this cage of monkeys. Each time they went up to grab the banana, like, they got shocked. And so one by one, they started learning, like, not to grab the banana. One day, after years and years and years, the monkeys had been, like, swapped out, and there was a new batch of monkeys with some of the old monkeys. The new monkeys were like, well, why don't we go up there and grab the banana? And all the old monkeys were like, you can't do that because you'll get shocked. Little did they know, the shock wasn't even on anymore, and they could have been eating bananas the whole time. I don't know if that's how the story actually went, but it was something like that. It's the art of non-conformity. You're creating your own rules all the time. You're deciding if you want to abide by everyone else's rules. Like, ultimately, what do you want to do? Again, what do y'all want to do? This is a book all about resistance. It was recommended to me by my good friend Masako. I want to read a page, but before I get there, I just want to elaborate on the idea of self-doubt. Most of us have goals. Most of us have aspirations. We want to move to Berlin. We want to go backpacking. We want to climb the career ladder. We all have some sort of goal. But before we can even get to do them, we have to overcome our own. We have to like conquer our own self, like our own self-loathing in a way. Like, who am I to do this? It's so easy for us to tear ourselves down and be like, but I'm not important. Like, why should you care about me? Again, it's a projection. If I don't think that I'm worthy to be heard, then I'm just gonna quiet myself down. When I began this book, resistance almost beat me. It told me that I was a writer of fiction, not nonfiction, and that I shouldn't be exposing these concepts of the resistance literally and overtly. Rather, I should incorporate them in some novel, in like some flowery way. That rationalization was resistance as well, because that was just yet another reason why he shouldn't do the book. That scared me. It made a lot of sense. What finally convinced me to go ahead was simply that I was so unhappy not going ahead. It's a never-ending hurdle. You're on this track and it's non-stop hurdles. Just when you get over the first hurdle of starting the YouTube channel, and then people start watching, and then you might get that hate comment, that's the second hurdle. This is the moment where you're like, oh, maybe they're right. Maybe I'm not like worthy of doing this. That's called imposter syndrome, and that's also part of the ego. This is why I almost like don't get too affected by any comments that I see on my channel, which is very few. It's so easy for you to just judge anything that anybody's doing as a distraction of you not doing what you want to do. And so they see you doing something powerful and cool, and so in order to make themselves feel better, they have to tear you down to bring you down here so they feel better about their inactivity on their passion. Ah. Quand tu étais au lycée, vous aviez un cours de philosophie, non?
Yeah, but like, I was literally sleeping through it all the time.
Je crois que ça te fait chier parce que c'est ta maman qui fait des trucs comme ça. So you participating in it is just like, we like don't want to be like our parents, I don't think.
Ok, Sigmund Freud, là, tu sors ça d'où?
Where does that come from? Well, maybe you should read one of these.
We know that.
How to Be an Existentialist. This is the one that introduced the concept of existentialism to me, and for so long I thought that I was an existentialist. That was until I finished the book. Why are we here? Are we meant to be here? Was there some creator who put us here? Is there a point to any of this? It's basically the study of existence before reaching nihilism. What the fuck is nihilism? I don't know what that is. Nihilism is basically we have no point being here. Like, so we might as well just go die now. Why are we here? What is the point of you sitting in your room or on the bus watching my YouTube video? What is the point of me even making this video? Why does it matter? Because I am gonna die and you're gonna die. And even the people who know of our existence will eventually die out. So really none of this makes sense. And why, like, what is the point? And are we supposed to be here? It's fun stuff. This is when like consciousness and mindfulness takes like a deep, dark turn and like can get a little scary. This is why they say ignorance is bliss. Like, look at this one over here.
Eat a dick.
Existentialism is just trying to figure it out. Like, what are we doing? Are we just here because there was a big bang and then evolution made it so that like we stemmed from monkeys and we just happen to be here and there's no like greater purpose and it's all an accident? That's kind of what this is. It kind of goes against the theory of like everything happens for a reason, or like that there's some magical, mystical thing going on in the universe.
Enfin, on est complètement libre de nos choix ici. Il n'y a pas une entité transcendantale qui va venir nous expliquer, enfin, qui va insinuer qu'on a un but sur Terre. Genre,
You just think like we're here and this is what it is.
On est ici grâce à l'évolution, grâce à la sélection naturelle. Enfin, je suis assez pragmatique personnellement.
Yeah, one of the critiques that a lot of people have with a lot of these kind of books, again, none of these are like that, but I'm talking like the cliche, cheesy self-help books that I don't pick up, is that a lot of times we tell ourselves these like kind of lies in a way. We tell ourselves these like nice words because the truth is like too hard to handle.
C'est hyper dangereux de penser ça et d'y réfléchir trop exactement. Enfin, moins t'as envie de vivre. Parce que
exactly, which that's why I said it gets scary.
Que c'est vain, c'est de la douleur, qu'il n'y a aucune réelle raison, qu'on est insignifiant.
Yeah.
Et après, on a besoin de rester un petit peu genre un peu naïf, un petit temps pour pouvoir continuer à vivre comme on fait, quoi.
I know. Well, this was one of the books that opened up that discussion for me. I was like, okay, I don't think I'm a full-on existentialist, but then it made me look into other like waves of how to look at our existence. Like, this is just so absurd to me that we somehow happen to be here through evolution and like there's no greater purpose, but there's like this massive universe of planets and things that we don't know, and like somehow we're all here doing it. There were so many ways for this not to happen, and then it did. And now we're here, and like again, there's something like fishy going on, I think. All right, well that's this one. I got this because I listened to this podcast called Revolution Ramblings, and this is just the book that she always recommends, Umber. These are my notes. I'm gonna read y'all my notes. Every person is superior to me in certain aspects. That does not make me an inferior person. Inferiority comes about for one reason. We judge ourselves and measure ourselves not by our own measuring stick, but by somebody else's measuring stick. Take the example of you wanting to start a YouTube channel and you look at all these people doing YouTube so well. You're using a false measuring stick because where that person is and where you are two different areas. Like at one point, the person who's doing well on YouTube was where you are. You should compare yourself, if you have to, with where they were right then when they were just starting out, just as you are. No man is hurt but by himself. Can't be hurt or triggered so much unless you decided to be triggered. But again, a lot of people don't actively decide that because it's the ego that controls your life. I'm telling you, once you start reading all these, they all start like making more sense. There was also a part in this book, or a note that I wrote, that was like all energy spent wishing you had the life of somebody else, or that hot body, or that person's language school. All that like jealousy, weird resentment energy should be redirected towards getting there. That's that. Like, should we punish this person because they were born with the best body, or because their parents spoke to them their entire childhood so that they're bilingual? No, that's just the way it is. Did they have it easier? Mm-hmm. Is it gonna change anytime soon? No. So you might as well move your attitude and focus all that like pent up weird energy you're casting on those people over here to get you there. Psycho-Cybernetics, you can get in the description box below. And lastly, a few other books made honorable mention. Let's talk about Normal Gets You Nowhere by Kelly Cutrone. She was like a boss. She is a boss businesswoman in New York City. If you want a unique, exciting, inspiring life, it's not by thinking in a normal status quo way that you will get there. Also, and I think most people are afraid to like break out and like wear like cheetah pants and stuff, or be vegan, or move to Zimbabwe, because they're afraid of what people think of them, right? They're afraid, you're more afraid of what other people think of you than what you think of you. Like, you're framing your life around what everyone else is thinking, like how they're viewing you, which is mistake number one, because I think we forget that most people like aren't thinking about you. Most people don't really care that much. They may have something to say in the moment, but it's not like they're going home. When they lay their head down at night, they're not thinking that much. Basically, people don't give as much of a fuck about you as you think, and that's not in like a malicious way. It's more like they're focused on their own lives. They got their own things to think about. That's what that book's all about. Delaying the Real World. This was one that I read back in the day before this was my job, and it was all about how you could get around the world working fun and weird jobs, being a circus performer, or being a flight attendant, or teaching English abroad. This book had real life examples of how you could do it, and even like companies that you could contact. Check it out. What I Was Doing While You Were Breathing. This is the only like novel, it was a memoir. It's about a woman who was like, yeah, I love seeing my friends post about their babies, but like I love seeing Cinque Terre more. Like I love seeing the world through an airplane window a lot more. Check out that book. It's about her love stories all over the world. Don't Sweat the Small Stuff. This is also another one that's like an easy read. It's like 100 pages or something, and each page is like a different tip. And I specifically remember one that was like, things can't be inherently good or bad. Like most of the time we look at the rain, you're walking outside and it's raining, and you're like, shit, like I don't want to walk outside in the rain, like this is so, I hate the rain. And so you already have this like made up perception of what rain is, when rain is just rain. The book is just like a nice reminder of how most of the stuff that we worry about all day long or anxious about won't matter a year from now. So yes, when you do walk outside and your hair gets wet, you may get mad for 5 minutes, but you're not going to remember that in a year, so you might as well not get mad at all. Anthony DeMello, The Way to Love. This was a recommendation from my girl Cassie. Do this right now. Think of some irritating person you know. First, look into the very real possibility that the reason why this person's defects or so-called defects annoy you is that you have them yourself. Can it be that you are annoyed at what this person says or does because those words and behavior are pointing out something in your own life and in yourself that you are refusing to see or that you dislike about yourself? This is why a lot of times they say, like, people who are homophobic could be gay because people who are out and proud and like living their best life trigger something in those people that they can't handle it, and they don't have it in themselves to like own up to who they are, so they then hate those people for being who they are. Like, I don't know if this is true, but it's just a nice observation. All right, and lastly, can you tell that I like The School of Life? I've read so many of their books. I basically did an entire video on this one last week. This one about heartbreak was really interesting. It was all, wow, €5 flies out of the book. That's gotta be a good sign. That's how much my heartbreak was worth. This one is all about why we seek the partners that we do, and how a lot of it comes back to our childhood and our relationship with our parents, how they loved us, and now that carries on to our relationships nowadays. How some people need more attention than others, how when you give attention to some people, they like get all like, ooh, whereas other people like need attention all the time. It breaks down these different styles and also helps you understand your own relationships. This one on affairs was just all kinds of interesting. I'm surprised it wasn't written by a French person. I'm gonna leave it here. No, I'm kidding. This one was juicy and it was really interesting. It's half the book I was like, this is an excuse for cheating. The other half I'm like, well yeah, if we all looked at affairs that way, then the world would just be a better place. The whole theme here is self-expansion. We're here on Earth, like didn't ask to be here, but we gotta make it do. Honestly, if the world would read like one of these books, like just one of these books, I think that the world would be a better place, because we'd understand human behavior and why we think the way we do, and also like why we're here and how we can move forward. I'm about to start this one, The Artist's Way. All these links are in the description box below. I'll be here next week, Thursdays, most likely Thursdays. I'm over on Instagram all the time. See y'all there. Later. So August is a rather empty month here in Paris. French people get minimum 5 weeks of vacation, minimum. But you know how in the States sometimes people are like, oh, you're gonna take vacation again? Here they're like, you're not taking vacation again? This may be a really long stretch, but I It's like a quiet month, so what do you do when it's quiet? You read. Like, that's the transition here, okay? Remember, this is the one I read in Guadeloupe, and my French friend that was there with me, he was like, oh putain, tu lis ça? Comment tu lis ça? Because it is like, I'm on vacation on the beach, like, wow, this one's about homosexuality. Like, what a page to open up to. Why don't you like these books? I know that, is it because you find them cheesy? And why are you blocking your face? The camera's not on you.
Me again?
No, you're done. You're done. I'm done with you. I don't have any more questions.
Fine, I'm leaving.
No, I'm actually just looking up. Like, you can do what you want. I'm not pausing because of you. I'm pausing because I'm looking for a good part to talk about. Basically, you get the idea. Lesson 10, I could see peace instead of this. Today, when I was buying my metro ticket to come here, a dude literally saw the line, cut right in front of me. Probably because he saw this cowboy hat and thought I wasn't from here. But you know what? I was like, you know what? You're about 40 years older than me. I don't even need to get upset. Guess why? Because I'm not in a hurry anyway. I could see peace instead of this. Deep into that psyche. Deep into the like inner self that most of these books talk about. Are you going pee?
Yep.
Like, this is what I'm saying. I can't concentrate. The one video. Yo, it could have been any other video, but the one about like books that'll change somebody's life? Again, I am not a victim of my circumstance. This is not my place. I am thankful that I can even film the video here. Everything else is projection. I could have filmed this in my apartment, but frankly, I get like antsy if the background is always the same. Like, I like this new energy. Like, it shouldn't even bother you because, again, it's a distraction. It's not really geared towards you. It's just geared towards his soup over here that he keeps cleaning in the fucking bowl.